So that is the first book stack. We are going to be reading Fearful by Lauren Roberts. I actually kind of really liked that. There's a lot going on over here, that's basically the point. Make something and then make it good. Good morning everyone. We are starting out this vlog in a little bit of a different place because today we're going to spend the day together. We're going to spend as much of the day together as we can because that's what I want to do today. I want to chill out, I want to do some tidying, I want to have like a nice cute clean space, read a book, have a nice coffee, you know, just do some of my favorite homebody activities together. So that's exactly what we're going to do, and we're starting out in a different location than usual because I need to start out my day. I've just gotten out of bed, I haven't even had a shower yet or anything. I'm gonna start the day out by changing these sheets, having some fresh bedding. I did like a deep clean yesterday, a whole home deep clean, so we don't have that much to do. I talked about it before, I think in my reset vlogs, but I used to do all my deep cleaning on like a Saturday or a Sunday, but then I realized I really like to have my weekends free to just relax and rest, and I don't like spending my weekends spending the whole day or half the day cleaning, so I do them after work on Friday. But we need to start out by changing the bedding because I didn't have enough time to do that. So we're gonna do that today. We're gonna have a shower, we're gonna make a nice coffee, we're gonna maybe go through some book mail, start a new book, maybe read a whole book in this video. That might be fun. And then just see where the day takes us. Just have like a cozy, chill, homebody day at home together. Let's start by stripping the bed. What a great way to start a video. Quality content. The day's gotta start somewhere. So I got ready for the day. Now I'm just rotating through my laundry this morning. I haven't had a nice coffee yet, so we definitely need to go make a nice coffee, but I thought we could start by talking about the main event of this video. We are going to be reading Fearful by Lauren Roberts, and it's very exciting because it's also the sponsor of this video. On the day of filming this book has just come out, so I've not really heard anyone's thoughts and opinions of this yet, which is great. It's like I like to go into books blind, but if you are not familiar with Lauren Roberts and you've never heard of Lauren Roberts before, which I think is kind of impossible if you watch this channel, because I have an entire full in-depth dedicated reading vlog where I read Powerless and Reckless. Powerless was one of my favorite reads last year. It was a 5-star read for me. I also loved Reckless, and then Fearless came out earlier this year, which was the completion of the original trilogy. There's also a spin-off novella, Powerful, and the series completed with the 3 main books in the novella. But Lauren Roberts did surprise us all by announcing that we would be getting another story in the Powerful world, but this is not a continuation of the Powerless trilogy. This is following new characters, a separate story, and it is a novella, so it's not a full book. For me personally, I just see novellas as bonus content in a world that I love to read. But for me, I love a novella when it's set in the same world of a series I love that's completed, that will still give me the same energy and world as a story that I love. So I currently feel like I am missing Powerless. I'm missing those characters in those worlds. I don't think we're going to get those characters in it as well, but we're set in the same universe and the same world. So I'm excited to jump back into some of Lauren Roberts' writing and see how this reads, because this is her first release since completing the Powerless trilogy, and I have no expectations for this or no idea where it's going to go. So I would highly recommend reading the Powerless trilogy first, because this will give major spoilers to the Powerless series. So I will be reading out the blurb of this book, and even the blurb kind of has some spoilers for the Powerless series. So if you've not read Powerless, I'm going to try and keep this as spoiler free as I can in terms of what I'm reading and what happens in the story, like I do with all my other reading vlogs. But if you have not read the Powerless series or you've not finished it and you want to, then I would recommend pausing this video and going and reading, getting up to date, completing the Powerless trilogy first, because I'm about to read the blurb of this book and I don't want to accidentally spoil anything that happens at the end of the Powerless series for you. So in this story, we're following a new character that we met at the end of Fearless called Mara. So it says, return to the kingdom of Ilia for this beautiful and heart-wrenching story. Mara never intended to set foot in Ilia again, but when the king makes a life-altering decision, her interest is piqued and Death is determined to understand Kit as browser's mind if he is destined to join her in the moors. Spending time with the king while observing the castle's inhabitants reminds Mara that there is more to life than just death, there is love. But even the purest of intentions spur revenge and the pursuit of power, and fate will have its way with all of them, to live, to rule, to love, and most certainly to die. And on the back it says, this soul is foolish enough to hope. So it's come out in the UK in this beautiful hardcover to match all the new hardcovers in the Powerless series, and we have foiling on the hardcover itself with the same quote on the back, and then we have the reversible dust jacket with the character illustration artwork. And if you know how Fearless ends, you know that Kit is probably going to be a big part of this story, as I'm expecting just how it ended. I did also vlog myself reading Fearless, but that was through my book club because we read Fearless together through book club. So if you're part of my book club, you have probably seen the Fearless reading vlog already, and that's only available to my book club members. But I'm excited. The last time I read a Lauren Roberts novella, as I said, was Powerful, and that did punch me in the gut, but that was also a bigger part of the story because we were getting additional content in the form of a novella through a different character's point of view of the same timeline as the Powerless series, but this is taking place after. So I'm intrigued to see what the timeline and setting of this is, what characters are going to be in it, if it's just going to be Mara and Kit, or if we're going to see other characters, because the way that Fearless ended, I have some questions, and there were some hints and teasers, and I definitely think that Lauren Roberts was dropping some little breadcrumbs on potential stories and questions and answers that we will hopefully have in this. So I'm gonna make myself a nice coffee and we're gonna sit down for the day and read this book. I think because it's only a novella, I can definitely read the entire thing today. That's my plan. So let's go make a nice coffee and start Fearful. So I've made my iced coffee. That's good. I got a new glass from Anthropology. I had one that had pink bows on it, and my best friend Becca gave it to me as part of her like bridesmaid box when she asked me to be a bridesmaid. And this one has little croissants on it. It's so cute. I thought that would be really cute to have iced coffees in. Come on. So Cooper's joining me. She wants to sit on my lap. I think I'm gonna get comfy under the blanket and then we're just gonna read. Because it is a novella, even though it is around 300 pages, it's printed quite large on this hardcover, so I don't think it'll take me too long to read. It probably will take me under 3 hours to read, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna read the whole thing in one sitting, but I'm definitely gonna read it today. So I might sit and read for an hour or so and then obviously catch up with you guys, check in, let you know my thoughts on the book like we do in a normal reading vlog. I'm kind of mixing like a lifestyle vlog and a reading vlog in one today, but that's the plan now. Interesting. I'm only 30 pages in so far, but I do enjoy the way that this is written, and so far I actually think I prefer the way that this is written more than Fearless. In terms of timeline of this story, right now it seems like it's overlapping in between the end of Powerless and the start of Reckless, and I'm sure it will potentially lead up to the end of Fearless. So just if you're curious or were wondering how connected it is to the series, it is giving us bonus content and insight into some things that were happening during the same time as the main series. So again, kind of similar to Powerful, where you could say that the novellas in this series could be read by themselves, but for the full impact of understanding the stories, the world, the characters, it's best to read the Powerless trilogy first. But it is very interesting, this timeline. It's not what I was expecting based off the blurb with the introduction to the new character, and it seems like Mara is death, essentially. Death is a being, that being is Mara, who we're following in the storyline. But there was one question I had at the end of Fearless about two specific characters, and they're already present in this story, which is great for me because that was one of the biggest questions I had after finishing Fearless, was what's going on there with those characters. Some of the little snippets we had between Reckless and Fearless. So I think I'm gonna get some answers for them, which I'd be very happy if we do. That would be ideal. So I'm now halfway through the story and I feel like we should have a little catch up and chat. Though halfway for a novella is not that much. Like we're around 150 pages and the book is under 300 pages. So for a novella, which is typically a short story and in a world or a series like this is like a companion book. It gives you added insight or context or is just an extension of characters in the world, but it's not part of the main series. I definitely would recommend reading the Powerless series before picking something up, and if you are in a reading slump or if you're just looking for like a short story to pick up and you don't know what to read, I definitely pick this up. If you love the Powerless world, why wouldn't you pick this up, you know? Based on the blurb, I wasn't sure where we were going to go with it, if it was going to be like an entirely new story just set in the world following this new character Mara, but it's not. It's overlapping with the timeline in Powerless, and we're pretty much focusing on the same timeline as Fearless and the end of Reckless and Fearless. And it's dual point of view between Kit and Mara, but this story follows 4 characters. So there's 2 other characters in the Powerless series that how Fearless kind of ends on a cliffhanger. Well, not cliffhanger, but Fearless ended quite open once we got our resolution and our conclusion, but there was hints and teasers of specific characters, and when I heard that there was going to be a novella, I was hoping that it would focus on these 2 characters. So then reading the blurb and being like, oh, this is a story about Mara and Kit, I'm like, no, we're getting insight into all of them. And I do think it's interesting how Mara is this being of death. Like Mara is death, essentially. So we're following death in the story of Powerless and in that world, and how she is overseeing life that is happening. And there was a quote that was said that I'm going to put on screen, and I think it sums up the vibes of the book pretty well. And it says, "Is death not allowed to wonder about life, stalk it even? Just because I am death, it does not mean I fail to feel." And that pretty much just sums up the purpose of this novella to me. We're following death, who wants to feel a little bit more than just death for once, and is overlooking a place, a group of characters, people in this world who are very much dealing with on the cusp of death. But I don't really think anyone's going to be going into this story thinking it's going to be like a new Powerless story, a new Reckless, a new Fearless, like a novel full of more plots and trials and action, because that's not the vibe that I got just from reading the blurb alone. It's definitely reading like a typical novella. So if you like to read novellas, I do think it is an interesting take on a novella in like a fantasy series, because I think so many novellas are also like holiday themed, like Christmas themed short stories and novellas. So I'm enjoying that this is something a little bit different. I've not really read anything like this, but I'm just going to continue reading this until whenever I need to put it down. I have less than 30 pages left. We are so close to being through this, and the pace and the timeline is also speeding up quite a bit, and it's really interesting reading Fearless and seeing one side of things, and then reading this and seeing a fuller, larger picture, which I quite like. But it's very poetic, this story, and not in like an overly flowery way with the writing or anything, but when you're following a main character that is a being like death, and there's conversations on life and death and fate, like we've just said, where destiny met fate and death was born, where eternity began. It is very reflective. Also brings like a completely new side to the Fearless story in the series, but it's definitely a novella. It's extended, additional story. It is a different point of view. It is a new take on something in the world of Powerless. It's not part of the Powerless core trilogy. We're not following Payton and Kai, we're following Mara and Kit, and we're getting a different perspective. So I think if you're missing the Powerless trilogy, it probably would hit the spot for you if you're craving Lauren's writing and another story in the world. But again, like I said, I think if you're slumping, this would be a really good story to pull you out of it. But I think I'm gonna finish this now, and then I have some filming and editing that I need to do today. We're gonna continue reading this, get this finished, and then see what else we have planned for the day. Interesting. I need to think on my thoughts with that one. We'll have a chat later this evening on my thoughts on this. That ended not how I thought it was going to end, but I kind of liked it. So it is a little bit later. I've had a shower, I've taken off my makeup. I don't really like to wear makeup, especially on my days off if I'm not filming and stuff. So I'll do what I need to do, and then I will have a shower, take it off so I can relax and unwind. Cooper's just at the bottom of the screen here, vying for my attention. I'm not sure if I'll pick up another book today because we read the novella and I've got plenty of time to start a new book this evening, which I might do, or I might maybe play some Nintendo Switch and listen to an audiobook. But I definitely want to sort out my TBR cart first, so I thought we'd do like an updated reorganization of this because it's a little bit all over the place at the minute. And I'm also going to, I think, have to make a TBR pile for some of the books, or like organize them by priority. I'm not sure. There's a lot going on over here. That's basically the point. And a long stretch of her back. There we go. That must feel very good for such a long sausage. Close to her DINNER TIME. So she's waking up from her little naps. You can't see it right now, but her tail is wagging like crazy, isn't it? I'm very excited. All right, I'm gonna take some of the books off of this. Yeah, I don't know how I want to reorganize it. I don't think I want to unhaul anything because I think I want to read books on here, but I might make a few piles of like take off my TBR for the month, and then maybe some like priority of arcs and things that I want to read so that when I do my next TBR jar pulling, it's a bit easier access. I don't know. Okay, so I've reorganized the TBR cart and I have 2 piles of books that I've not put back on the TBR cart, and we're gonna go through them. So in this stack here, this is my September TBR, books I want to read as soon as possible, priority. Anything that I don't read in here will cross over into October, so we'll go through them. So I have An Alchemy of Secrets Proof by Stephanie Garber, and I really want to read this as soon as possible. And it's also under 350 pages. So it looks quite short and easy to read, and I just love Stephanie Garber. She's one of my favorite authors. And I've seen so many people pick this up and then say that they haven't been able to put it down. So we have that. I have Immortal Consequences by Ivy Marie. If you watched the Texas book collab that I did with the girls, Bailey picked this book for me and we're gonna try and buddy read it in September. So hopefully soon, I'm gonna be picking this up. Can I take off this sticker though? Then we have Lady of Starfire, self-explanatory, it's just come out. I would like to read that ASAP. Big book though. Final book in the series. The Princess Knight, which is on my September TBR, so hopefully going to read that. Bloodmarked, also on my September TBR, so hopefully going to read that ASAP. The Ascended by Greenwich and Lennox. These are the same authors who wrote Riftborn and Duskbound, which 2 of my favourite fantasy romance reads. This is a new series that's meant to be read in publishing order alongside the other series. Like the 2 are connected in a larger world. I'm not sure if they're directly connected or by how, but I really want to read this one ASAP. And then my book club book for the month is The Poppy War, so I can take that off my TBR. I'm reading it on Kindle, but definitely one where I don't need it on my TBR cart anymore. So that is the first book stack. I'm probably just gonna chuck it on the top here, so when I come to pick a book, I can just take from this insane pile. And then we have another book stack here, which are just books that I've never gotten around to, or I'm unsure if I will like them or not. It's not an unhaul pile, it's just a I'm unsure on this. So if you've read any of these books and you think that I will like it, if you can comment below telling me about it or convincing me to try and read it. And then I think I'm gonna put like a time limit on these. If I don't read these by the end of the year, then I will unhaul them. So we'll go through this pile. So the first one is Date Night by Sam Parks. Sometimes publishers will just send books to my address. They've got my details on their PR system. So this is one that just randomly showed up one day, but I've not actually heard about it. It actually kind of, I feel like if I start reading the blurb of all these, I'm going to want to read them anyway. So maybe this one needs to go on the TBR, but I've not seen anyone talk about it. I've never heard of it. Maybe it could be a really good read and I'll enjoy it. We've got this one. If you've read this, let me know. I have Game On. It looks like a sports romance. I'm just not sure if I'm a sports romance girly, or maybe I am. I like hockey romance, but this looks like football. Maybe it's just come out. Let me know. Tell Me How You Really Feel. Again, a romance book that I've not seen anyone talk about, but it also looks short, so maybe I will enjoy it. Electric co-hosts of a podcast have just snagged the deal of a lifetime. There's only one tiny inconvenient problem: they can't stand each other. Okay, no, this sounds interesting and I want to read that. Too many books to read and not enough time. These Violent Delights is on my 25 books that I want to read in 2025. I just don't know if I'm going to get around to it. I've just not been in the mood, and it's one of those books that's been on my TBR for so long that I have just stopped wanting to reach for. Like, I feel like maybe the time for me to read it has passed. Maybe I'll circle back to it in the future, but I don't know. A Kingdom of Stars and Shadows by Holly Renee. This was traditional published recently, but I didn't like This Veiled Kingdom. So if I didn't like This Veiled Kingdom and that series, I think I gave book 2 like a 1 star. Maybe this author's not for me. I'm not 100% sure. Let me know. Maybe, is this one better? I don't know anything about that book. I have Hotter Than the Hamptons. I have a copy of this already, a duplicate copy, but I've also not read it. So this will probably get unhauled because I own it already. So I might give it away. Fragile Sanctuary. I actually think I want to try Catherine Cowles because I've not read any Catherine Cowles reads. I'm sure there's a whole series of these books and I've heard they're spicy, but I don't know the order of them. So I've not picked it up because I've not actually looked into it. Sparrow Falls, is that the series? I'm going to have to look into this, but the Sparrow Falls series, Elsie Silver says, I'm ready to enter my Sparrow Falls era. If you've read it, let me know if it's good. The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. I am actually going to read this, but I'm in my thriller era on audiobook and Kindle. So I don't know if I need to keep a physical copy of this because I'm obviously limited space with my books. So that's being put down for now. I was also told not to start with The Boyfriend for Frida McFadden reads. So that will be, I'll be picking it up later, but if I have the physical copy of it, I'll just read the physical copy. Tusk Love. Well, I've read The Hurricane Wars by this author and I wasn't a huge fan, but I think this is also cozy fantasy read, so I've not picked it up yet because I was waiting until autumn time and we're entering there. So I'm putting it to the side, and if I feel like a cozy short, because look how small it is. 260 pages. Yeah, I think I'll keep this one. It looks like some type of monster. Well, not a monster. Well, is he a monster? He's got green skin. What would you call that? It's a monster, right? Is it like a cozy fantasy monster romance? If you've read this, let me know. Like I said, this is not an unhaul pile. This is not a book pile of books I'm not going to read. These are books that I just don't really know anything about and need a push to pick up. So if you've read these and you love them, please let me know, and then I will move them onto the TBR. But for now, this is my, I don't know what I'm doing with these books. Help me. Finally, we have The Lady of the Lake. I have just read so many Arthurian type of retelling and stories, and by the name of this, Lady of the Lake, I think it's going to be one of those. Yeah, Camelot, talking about King Arthur. So I think I do want to pick this up eventually. I just would like to finish or read Bloodmarked first, and I'm also, what's another one that I'm reading? I have the audiobook for The Bonds That Bind, The Wings, where's my phone? The Bond That Burns. And I'm pretty sure that's also King Arthur reimagining. So it's just, I've read too many books with this storyline, well, not this storyline, but inspired by a retelling of, that I've had enough. I've reached my limit for now. I think I've read 5 or 6 that are about Camelot and King Arthur reimaginings, which is quite a lot in the last year to have read. So we're gonna put that one down for now, but I don't want to unhaul it. Has anyone read this? So that's my, I'm not sure what I'm doing with these reads pile. And I think I'm going to just sit it next to my TBR cart for now. And then that way my TBR cart is books that I definitely want to read or make my TBR pulling a lot easier. Let's go through what's on the TBR. Swinging you back around so you can see. It is all just single-sided. First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. I will be picking this up as soon as possible. Slow Burn by O.T. Mabuse. The Temptation of Magic by Megan Scott. Enigma by Runix. The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. I will be picking this up. I'm just trying to complete series that I'm in the middle of before starting a new series because this is a big commitment. And I've said in vlogs already that I want to stop reading one book in a series and then jumping to another series and going to another. I'm trying to just finish up all the series that I'm in the middle of and work my way through one at a time because that's how I prefer to read them, and I'm getting overwhelmed. If Not For My Baby by Kate Golden, which I picked up in Texas. Rockstar Romance. Breaking Point by Mads Rafferty. One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I need to read the other one first before that. I have my Dance of Thieves duology, but I again need to read The Kiss of Deception first. A Touch of Darkness, another book on my 25 want to read in 2025. And Lore by Alexandra Bracken. And then the bottom is mainly proofs and then hardcovers. So we've got Book Boyfriend by Lucy Vine, Arcana Academy by Elise Cover, The Serpent Bride, and House of Bane and Blood, which both recently came out. What Fury Brings by Trisha Levenseller, I've still not read that. Seven Deadly Thorns, Forest of Heart, The Last Starborn Seer, Curse Carved in Bone, Where the Library Hides, What the River Knows, and then The Ever King, which is also on my 25 books to read in 2025. And that is the TBR at the moment. That makes me feel a little bit better though. That's not as overwhelming as I thought it was, so that's all good. All right, I'm probably gonna make myself a cup of tea. I need to have dinner. I might have girl dinner. Kind of feeling like a Caesar salad, so we might have a Caesar salad and a Diet Coke, of course. And I also asked you guys on Instagram to send in some questions, so we might make a herbal tea and finish off the evening by answering a couple questions, having a little chat, and then I'll probably pick up a new book to read today to start in bed later tonight. So that's the plan. Let's do that. Hello, we are back. I had some dinner and I am brewing a sleepy herbal tea. So I'm just gonna let that sit and cool down because it's not picking up on camera, but it's wafting with steam right now. And we're gonna answer or just have a chat, go through some questions. I think I'll pick 5 questions because that seems like a good amount. So a little cozy way to end this reading vlog slash spend a day with me vlog. A little bit more casual. We obviously got some reading done, just some bookish yappy things. It's honestly quite chill. So let me know if you've enjoyed this video so far and you potentially want some more vlogs like this. I mean, it's very, I think on paper it is not necessarily boring, but yes it is. You know, it can be. It's not as exciting as when I go to events and do things, but for me personally, I prefer to watch cozy stay-at-home vlogs where someone reads and yaps. It's my personal favorite thing to watch, but I'm gonna scroll and then just pick 5 questions and we'll run through them. And don't worry, we will talk about the book that we read. We'll do that at the end, we'll do that after. Court K Reads asks, advice for small booktubers. I say the number one thing that I speak to with other creators and people who are starting YouTube channels or people who ask me about creating a YouTube or, you know, making content, but they're too afraid to do it. I think the hardest part of doing it is starting, and I think you just have to make it. You just have to do it. If you're waiting for your content to be better, for you to improve, to post something that you're super proud of, that you're gonna put out, then you're never gonna post, realistically, because you can't improve without doing something repeatedly. You need to regularly do something for you to get better. And also, the way that algorithms work anyways, is the first thing you post, rarely ever, is the one to pop off and to help you grow your platform. It's a mix of consistently showing up and posting content and posting searchable, popular topics. So for BookTube, for example, wrap-ups, TBR, book shopping vlogs, reading vlogs, things that people are always searching for and that the algorithm can help push. But also, your first thing that you're gonna put out there is just the first step. Make something and then make it good. So you have to actually make it first. You have to put it out there. You have to take that leap of making that first bit of content, creating that channel, putting yourself out there. And with each video you will improve, you will get better. I still look back on videos from 2 weeks ago and think, oh, I could have done that better. And you're always learning and improving. I've been making videos and vlogs since I was 12, and I am always learning. The learning curve never ends. I think if you already have posted and you're just wanting some general advice, I think that the best thing that someone can do, and or at least for me, what I click on, or the videos that I'm more gravitated towards, I'll find people through popular things like reading vlogs, TBRs, wrap-ups, things that I search for regularly to watch, and also that the algorithm will then give me on like the For You page. But what makes me click on someone's video is definitely their thumbnail, and if it's interesting to look at. I think so much of YouTube can feel oversaturated and everything can look the same. So many of the videos will have the same thumbnails, same fonts, same colors, etc. I'm more drawn to the ones that stand out. I mean, my thumbnails and stuff are quite simple. They just tell it as it is, but I've, you know, over the year and a half I've been doing this, I definitely think I've developed a style, but I'm always trying to improve it and work on it. I think a lot of smaller creators will think that they will need to emulate bigger creators or copy what they're doing to get success, and I think that's the easiest way for it to do the opposite, because your unique selling point and what makes you stand out compared to other creators is that you are you. So what do you bring to your content? How can you stand out and set yourself apart to other creators? I think that's what I look for. I go to different booktubers for very different reasons because they all bring me something differently. I think just be yourself, play around with content, experiment, learn. We're always growing. We're always also our harshest critic. Have fun with it. Fave bookstore in Scotland, definitely Book Lovers Bookshop for me. They are the UK's first romance only bookstore, and we have it here in Edinburgh. They stock so much fantasy romance, dark romance, YA romance, contemporary romance, sports romance. They have such a diverse collection of reads in there, and they also have indie and trad books, and the team is honestly just the best. I love it. It's one of the places I'm like, if you're coming to Edinburgh, definitely go to that bookstore. Do you ever get burnt out from vlogging about reading and creating content? I don't. I get burnt out from just giving myself too much to do, but never reading. Reading is my escape, something that helps me prevent burnout. Creating content, I think if you're doing something too much, then it can burn you out because it's not sustainable. I do try to check myself when I'm burning out, but it's the reading and vlogging reading is never the cause of my burnout. It's other things. It's just trying to juggle too many eggs and not giving myself a realistic amount of time for it to be sustainable, and then I just get really exhausted, but then I just want to sit and read even more. Julianne says, I don't understand the difference between Fairy Loot and Wayward, please help. So Fairy Loot is a special edition book company, so they'll make special editions of books. Wayward is a publishing imprint, so Wayward will publish books. Fairy Loot and Penguin teamed up to make Wayward, the imprint, the publishing house, together, so it's a joint venture between Fairy Loot and Penguin, the publisher. So Wayward can work with authors to publish their work, to get it in bookstores. It's a new publisher. Fairy Loot just makes special editions of books. They don't publish their own titles. They work with authors around the world to make special editions of books. So one's a publisher and one's a special edition manufacturer. They're sort of like sister companies, I guess you could say. Okay, one more question. Would you ever do a reader meetup one day? Love you and your vibe and coops. Thank you, Elise. Laura and I have actually had a conversation about this because we got to meet so many readers and so many of you guys at Rare in London, and I think it would be so fun to do like a bookish event of something, like an in-person book club type of thing. Laura actually had an idea for something like that, but we just don't know how and when and where to do it, or if that would even be of interest to people. It also might be kind of fun to do like a couple of them, like scattered around the UK, because we go down to London a lot, and then Laura lives in England, I live in Scotland, so maybe that's something in the future that would be fun, to be able to meet other readers and bring readers together to hang out and do something bookish. But honestly, no thoughts or ideas on what to do with that. My tea is still too hot to drink. It's fogging up my glasses. We should talk about the book now. I think it's been enough time that I can concisely talk about my thoughts. So we started out this vlog by reading Fearful, and I think I'm going to have potentially a shocking or controversial opinion where I think I preferred this to Fearless. Like, I think I like this novella more than I enjoyed Fearless. But I also find rating novellas quite hard because you are working with a much shorter story. So novella ratings don't always convert to book ratings, but I would honestly give this a 4-star. I think if you're going into this expecting a brand new story following new sets of characters, it's its own entire story, then you may be a little bit disappointed. But I think if you go into it quite open, I had seen, I don't know if it was on Lauren's Instagram or TikTok, but she had said something along the lines of, if you have questions after reading Fearless, just wait for the novella because you'll get the answers. So for me, this was an extended mini story in the form of a novella, because that's what a novella is. It's just a short story showing some of the things that we didn't see in the Fearless story through the eyes of a new character. When I finished Fearless, I was like, is that it? Is that the end of the trilogy? Like, the story's done? Because I still have questions. I wanted to know what was going to happen with the other characters. I wanted to know the prologue and the epilogue of the story, what that meant, where that was leading to, and we got that. So I went into this thinking, okay, well, maybe after reading the prologue and the epilogue and finishing the story and figuring out who Mara is, that makes a bit more sense to follow her. Maybe we'll get some answers. So I feel really satisfied. I think this works as a companion novella to Fearless because it's almost like lifting the lid, going behind the curtains a little bit to find out things that you probably wouldn't know. But you don't need to read this to understand the Perilous Trilogy. It's just a novella that gives us some extra information, another short story. I think it's been really fun to watch Lauren as an author develop her style and grow through all of the books in the series. So I think this was a really nice way to wrap it up, but I definitely think if you're going into this expecting it to be a complete standalone new book, new story, new plot, then yeah, the book might not hit for you. But I also think it's really hard to blurb this book, and like the summary or description of what it is about is quite hard to say what it is without giving major spoilers for Fearless and the Perilous Trilogy. So that was honestly my first thought, because I did say that it did not end how I thought it would, and it didn't, but in a really interesting way. Because not that I thought it was going to be a redemption, but I just didn't see the little twist of how the storyline wrapped up, and I actually kind of really liked that. But for a novella, I thought it was really easy to read, and it was a fun story to get some more closure for the Powerless trilogy. That's my thoughts on the book, but I would love to hear what your thoughts are. I feel like I have quite controversial opinions when it comes to this series and my ranking of the books, because Powerless and Reckless were both 5-star reads for me, and that's also kind of why I like to go in blind to stories and not really have any expectations and just see where the author intended to take me. So they were my thoughts. If you haven't read the Fearful novella and you pick it up, I would love to hear your thoughts about it. And again, I would definitely recommend you reading the Powerless trilogy before reading this and going into this, because it will be major spoilers for how the trilogy wraps up. But now I think I'm going to pick another book, hop into bed, drink my herbal tea, and then go to sleep. But I think I might start a new reading vlog. So we're gonna end this one here. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, comment below a pink heart emoji for Fearful, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.